Good morning, everybody. I'm Robert Scheer, and this is your 6 AM Wake Up. I turned 69 yesterday, so of course that means next year there's a big milestone, 70, and that's really getting up there. I've always had a thing about aging. I don't think it's because I'm worried about getting old. I think a lot of it is because I've been fortunate and I really enjoy my life, and I'm afraid of all of the passage of time. Time passing has always bothered me a little bit. Of course, I say all the things that everybody says. Age is just a number. Getting old beats the alternative. But I do think about it a lot. One of the things I do a lot is I call attention to my age. I do this particularly in social situations or even more in business situations. I'll say things like, can you attend this meeting with me because I'm not as sharp as I used to be and I might need some support. Or I'll point out that I don't hear as well as I used to and mention the hearing aids that I have. I think I do this for two reasons. I think at some level I do it to acknowledge that I'm getting old, and I sort of pretend it doesn't bother me by calling attention to it. And I think there's also what I call the Columbo effect. If you remember the old detective Columbo, he acted in sort of a disheveled, confused way in order to disarm people. And so I think I do it for that reason as well. But thinking about turning 69 yesterday, I was reminded of a book I read a few years ago. It was a book by Arthur Brooks, and it's called Strength to Strength. And he started this book off, it was really interesting. He recounted being on an airplane, and he was sitting in the airplane, and behind him was a couple. And the man was lamenting to what he assumed was his wife on that flight, talking about how he's disregarded, he's not as relevant as he used to be. He didn't even look to see the person behind him, but he assumed by his voice and his comments that he was elderly, that his wife was elderly. He talked about that he's past his prime and things like this. And that he hadn't done all the things that he wanted to do. And when the plane landed and they were all getting up to leave, Arthur Brooks looked at this guy and realized he was world famous. He'd accomplished amazing things. But yet here he was feeling like he had lost relevancy. And so that's the theme of the book, Strength to Strength. What Arthur Brooks talks about is that there are two kinds of intelligence. There's fluid intelligence. This is the ability to think quickly, to process new information, to solve problems. You often see young coders have great fluid intelligence, or chess masters have fluid intelligence, or even composers. People that have high processing speed have fluid intelligence, and this is something that you have when you're very young, but as you age, you lose this fluid intelligence. But Arthur Brooks goes on to talk about, but what it's replaced with is crystallized intelligence. That's the term he uses for it. I think we would all sort of call it maybe experience and wisdom. This is the intelligence that creates the wisdom and judgment that really comes from accumulated experiences. It's the ability to recognize patterns over years. It's oftentimes the ability to navigate complicated relationships. Examples of this are mentoring people, or in real estate, being a little more cautious. It's that old adage that the best deal in real estate may be the one you don't do. And crystallized intelligence strengthens with age. And so as I turned 69, I'm glad I was reminded of what Arthur Brooks talked about. I do feel it's true. I do feel that I've certainly lost a lot of speed. I'm not nearly as adroit, both physically, intellectually, as I once was. But I do think it's been replaced by a lot of wisdom, and with that wisdom comes the ability, I think, to savor life and enjoy it more. I will mention two last things, and that's passion and creativity. I think both of those wane as you get older. And what I mean by passion is, think about goal setting. When I was young, in my 30s, 40s, even in my 50s, setting goals was vital. I was excited all the time. I had new challenges, new accomplishments that I wanted to do. As you get older, it becomes more difficult to think of things that you want to accomplish. And so you have to maintain that passion. You have to work at it. And then creativity is another one. I think there's a reason why I make this joke. Stevie Wonder hasn't written any new music in a long time. People tend to be very creative in their youth. They can write music, they can code, they can write books. It becomes more challenging as you get older. And so you have to be very intentional about keeping your passion and creativity alive. So for all of you that are aging, and we all are, congratulations, there's wisdom on the horizon. Thanks for listening to my thoughts for the day.